Alright, let's begin. Hello everybody, welcome back to my series of Ninjago episode review live streams. In today's stream we are taking a look at episode 79 of Ninjago, entitled Dead Man's Squall. This is the 5th episode of Season 8, Sons of Garmadon. Where am I? I'm right here. I'm right here on time. Welcome everyone joining us today. In case this is your first time joining us, let me break down how these streams work. We stream Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time, with an episode review and a Q&A, and we will update this day by day. If there's ever a day where I can't stream, I will let you guys know via my community tab. Hopefully you guys had a fantastic weekend. It is currently Monday, I think. Kind of lost all track of time, it appears. What's the drink? We got a water bottle. I figured it's the best thing to kick off the week. So yeah, in terms of season 14, yes, I have watched the first 2 episodes, and I do have reviews up on the channel as of this current moment in time. So if you want to hear my thoughts on the season 14 episodes, feel free to check them out on my channel. So let's go ahead and get to it. Like we normally do throughout these episode reviews, we let the images run in the background as I break down the plot, the good, the bad, and then finally we give the episode a score out of 10 when it's all said and done. Before we begin, I'm going to take a sip of my water and then we will get started with this. Are we able to talk about WandaVision? Yeah, it's been a full weekend since the finale, so we'll probably discuss a little bit more of that in the Q&A section when we get to that, usually about 20 to 25 minutes in. Yes, season 14 is either season 3 or it's just a new special. Whatever works for you guys. Am I feeling all right? Yeah, I'm just a little tired. Let's go ahead and get to it. Let's go ahead and discuss the plot here. So, the episode begins basically with a almost like a continuation of the last episode, where Zane fights off Mr. E, and Zane is super desperate to figure out who Mr. E is. Ultimately, the battle does not go well for Zane as he gets thrown off a cliff, and Mr. E just kind of leaves him for dead, but not before planting a trap on him. So that's always fun. Waffle just made it over to my desk. Hello, Waffle. Welcome, welcome. You can't sit on the notebook though. I need to see the notes. But yeah, Zane is basically left for dead there, and we cut to an intro that's very, very heartbreaking. The introduction for this episode of Sons of Garmadon is very, it's almost like nostalgic for all the wrong reasons. They use the exact same music that Zane, or that played over Zane's sacrifice, so I thought that was interesting. It went on to just show how just, I guess, traumatizing this scene was for Zane. In a way, Zane is definitely like, well, he's not dead here, but he's messed up pretty badly. So, you remember people reversing this clip? Yeah, I remember people doing that too. Of course, Mr. E kind of sends out a message as well, and the message is just, something spelt or said backwards. So it's easy enough to decipher it on your own if you just want to reverse it on your own. So I remember people doing that as well. Um, Later that night, the ninja end up finding Zane, and they take him back aboard the Bounty, and Pixel begins running tests on him. Obviously, it's not super great for Zane. He's not really in a good position, and the ninja can really do no more. I mean, it's pretty much up to Zane at this point whether or not he makes a recovery. The ninja regroup, and the baby is crying. Baby Master Wu, we don't know it's Master Wu just yet, but Baby Master Wu is definitely not having a good time on this boat, and the ninja basically discuss what to do. They decide, hey, maybe he needs diapers. Let's give up one of our hoods to use as a diaper, which is actually kind of gross when you think about it. But hey, Harumi knows what to do. She takes over and rocks the baby back to sleep, to which Lloyd kind of takes an interest in that. Very, very keen eye there. You got there, Lloyd. We then cut to another scene in which Lloyd and Harumi are basically having a moment on the deck. They kind of discuss what happened back there with the baby, and they also discuss Harumi's parents, Lloyd's father. Looking back, since we know that Harumi is the quiet one, it's definitely a scene where she's trying to get some type of information out of Lloyd. Yeah, Harumi's really creepy song. The spider in your mouth song. Not a good song. I can imagine that playing during like a horror movie or something. Um But yeah, it's at this moment in time where Harumi decides to try to go in for the kiss, but Lloyd freaks out and kind of backs away, which is to be expected of Lloyd Garmadon. He doesn't really seem like one to be in like a relationship or anything like that, and it's very clear what Harumi is trying to do here. So yeah, definitely think that Lloyd dodged a bullet right there. So we then cut back to the baby. Cole's currently taking care of him, and he's singing the glowworm song to the baby. That's always cute. And he finds something mysterious on the baby itself that's, going to be crucial to the rest of the plot moving forward. I shouldn't say it's on the baby itself, it's kind of attached with the baby, and we'll talk about that more here in a second. We then cut to Jay and Nia discussing Wahira. That's very applicable towards season 14 right now. Very interesting how in Sons of Garmadon, Wahira was first mentioned, and now we're actually seeing more of her in the present day Ninjago time. Quite intriguing, to say the least. Nia also mentions the keepers kind of indirectly. She mentions an ancient tribe that kind of worships Wahira. It doesn't take a genius to kind of put two and two together. She's basically talking about the keepers at this point, which is interesting. Like I said, it's fun that they set that up all the way back in season 8, and now coincidentally, in today's episodes, we are currently discussing that. So that's always fun. Pixel basically calls the entire ninja team in, and she finishes running some diagnostics on Zane, and she ends up finding the message. That she deciphers the message by reversing the audio, presumably, and the message translates to "the trap has been set." Obviously, the ninja don't know what that means, and Cole basically runs in, all ecstatic because he's found a map on the baby's blanket that'll presumably lead them to the third and final mask. So, I don't think that's an interesting question. I'm not sure if they actually planned that stuff all the way back in season 8. It might have just been something that they mentioned back then and realized they could go back and use. Either way, I think it's super cool how season 8 kind of introduced that topic, and season 14 in the modern day is now, adapting some of that stuff that we first heard in this episode. Very interesting. Yes, we all know Jay stabbed a guy with a fork. I have a screenshot in here somewhere. You might have seen it already in the slideshow, but I have the moment in which Jay's just about to stab Kai with the fork, and that's always, it's always fun to watch. The ninja are eating dinner, and that's where that infamous scene actually comes up. At this point in time, though, the trap manages to emerge from Zane. Zane's corpse kind of opens up, and a little spider-looking dude comes crawling out. Now, I remember at the time that this was coming out, a lot of us theorized that the spider was somehow connected to the Overlord because back then, purple eyes, black exterior automatically means Overlord for a lot of us. So I still feel like a lot of us are like that nowadays, which of course is okay. There's nothing wrong with theorizing about the Overlord coming back for the millionth time. But the trap emerges, and immediately the bounty starts to malfunction. The power goes out. The ninjas start to freak out. They run into Zane's room and question Pixel on it. And Pixel really doesn't have a way to cover herself this time. And what I mean by that is it's very obvious that this big reveal, it's been coming for a while, but Pixel reveals herself to be Samurai X after she sees that Samurai X herself is closing in on the bounty. The ninja are like, "Oh, cool. They must be here to help." And then Pixel's like, "Well, my systems are overrun, so probably not." And the ninja put two and two together. Pixel is Samurai X, and of course Jay. Yeah, of course Jay totally called it. Very much, very much kind of hesitant to accept that from Jay. But yeah, Samurai X approaches, starts attacking the bounty, and it's basically just a big mess from here on out. The ninja frantically try to both ward off Samurai X, as well as keep the bounty in the air, and also fight off against the elements. So, you got lightning trying to strike the ship. Jay's in charge of taking care of that. Eventually, Samurai X manages to capture Harumi, and of course, Lloyd jumps off the bounty and decides to save her, which is kind of crazy of Lloyd. But hey, they had a moment earlier in this episode. He had a reason to go ahead and try to rescue Harumi, despite, Harumi basically screwing him over in the future. But neither here nor there. Samurai X bails from the mech, and basically Lloyd and Harumi are just left falling in the mech. And Samurai X, otherwise known as Pixel, makes her way back up to the bounty where she takes on the ninja. A little bit of a fight breaks out there as Nia fights off the trap that she actually finds within Zane's quarters. So that's not very fun, and it's just a big chaotic mess, if you will. Eventually, Zane does wake up and disables the trap, and Pixel decides to reboot, but not before using her sword to ruin the last working thruster on the bounty, basically sending the thing crashing down. The bounty's going down, and the ninja are basically like, well, Well, now what do we do? It's basically it for us, isn't it? Luckily, Nia is able to slow the fall using the rainwater. She kind of reverses the flow of the rain. Kind of a nice callback to when she was first learning to use her powers. So that was pretty cool. And the bounty still crashes, but at least it's better than before. Also, Lloyd and Harumi crash in the samurai mech, and Lloyd is injured as a result. Luckily, the episode does have a somewhat decent ending. Zane and Pixel reunite physically for the first time in seasons, so that's fun. Last time we saw them physically together was in season 3, I think, unless you count the weird bit in season 4 where Zane kind of interacted with Pixel's hand. So, you know, they probably should have prayed to Wahira for sure. But yeah, the episode does have a pretty happy ending, I'd say. Everybody's okay, even though some people are injured, and for the most part, I'm pretty sure everybody's traumatized. But hey, for the most part, everyone's good, and it was pretty miraculous that this even happened in the first place. So this is one of the best episodes for sure, and we're going to get into some of the good right now. So in terms of good, I got a lot to say, but the first thing that caught my attention was the intro. Rewatching it, I forgot that this intro went the way that it was, or went the way that it did, of course. But yeah, it actually was really well done. I loved the repeat of the score used during Zane's sacrifice. It always is emotional hearing that music, and having that music kind of over a shot of Zane's pretty much broken body on the ground as the camera pans up, it's emotional. I definitely rewound it to watch that again. What sucks is that I completely forgot that this intro existed until just now. So it was nice to revisit that. Like I said, it's been a minute since I've rewatched Sons of Garmadon, so when I heard that, I was like, whoa, nostalgia. Let me rewind that and watch it again. Very cool intro. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention that at several points throughout this episode, the baby is seen drinking tea, kind of like a little sign of what's to come, I imagine. But yeah, I thought the intro was cool. I also really enjoyed seeing the rest of the fight between Zane and Mr. E, and of course it shows Zane's desperation and Mr. E's desperation to keep his identity a secret. We're not even really sure what his identity is, but um, you know, he doesn't want to tell Zane anything, which is cool. But yeah, Zane gets downed pretty bad here, which is obviously important to the plot. We also get a lot of Samurai X stuff, her big reveal of her being Pixel. A lot of us probably saw that coming, I imagine. I remember I made 3 videos on it back in the day, and a lot of people said that, you know what, yeah, Samurai X probably is Pixel, and Pixel is Samurai X. And lo and behold, we were correct in that. I also really enjoyed the battle between Pixel and the Ninja, the corrupted Samurai X, if you will, and also Pixel and Zane's reunion rather, reuniting. Their reunion at the end of the episode was really heartfelt as well. Like I said, the episode does have a very happy ending, if you will. Everybody's okay, but there's definitely damage to be done. But thankfully, everyone's fine. Like the worst that's happened is, oh, someone's got like a broken arm or whatever. Who cares? That's basically all there is. What season is this from? This is from season 8, Sons of Garmadon. Um, yeah, Harumi did really play up that damsel in distress role. She's trying to provide, I guess, as little attention to herself as possible, so it makes sense. I do admire Harumi. She did a really good job at blending in. Like any outsider watching the show, they wouldn't expect Harumi to be a bad guy just from watching this episode. So you got to give Harumi props for that, and you also got to give give some props to the writing team as well. Breaking an arm is not funny. I'm not saying it's funny. I'm saying that's the worst thing that's happened. And it's not even that bad of a thing compared to what could have happened. Every single ninja could have died here in the bounty crashing, but thankfully, the only thing that happened was someone got a broken arm. I remember I broke my thumb when I was younger. It wasn't fun. Oh yeah, and Kai's hand got injured too by Jay's fork. So 2 bad things happened. So continuing on, like I said, Harumi did a really good job at disguising herself in some of these earlier episodes, and we do get a little bit of a Lloyd and Harumi moment here for those of you guys that ship Lloyd and Harumi. They almost kiss here, but Lloyd decides to back away. See, I broke my left arm. Yeah, it also, or not my left arm, my left thumb. It is kind of also a nod to the Ninjago movie with Lloyd kind of breaking his arm in that movie. Although in that movie they did play it for laughs, so you know. As I sip on the water. Yeah, Lloyd kind of runs away at the sudden kiss, which of course is to be expected. Again, Lloyd pretty much doesn't really have any experience in that department, so I don't think someone like like Lloyd would be super like comfortable with that, and he would very much run away in an awkward manner. So I thought that was realistic. We also get a little bit more context between Cole and Baby Woo, and it definitely shows that Cole is very much being a father type figure to this baby here. We're going to see that play off more and more as season 8 goes on, and even in season 9, I'd say for a while Cole and Baby Woo or Young Woo still have like a really cool relationship, I'd say. So it's always fun to see that. I also need to mention the action, which I kind of touched on before. But yeah, this episode's really good in terms of action. Real no complaints coming from me in terms of the action. It's there when it needs to be, and I feel like it's balanced out a good amount with the mystery and suspense. Also, the music I need to mention as well. We kind of talked about that earlier, but Zane's score, his sacrificing score, makes a reappearance after being used in season 3. So I thought that was cool. Very much adds emotion to that initial scene, and also the music during the fight between Samurai X was also fun too. Very cool. I also really enjoyed the creepy tone with this as well. I actually thought that this episode was quite scary in a few parts. Very creepy, especially with the trap, if you want to call it that, the little spider thing that crawls out of Zane. That's not super appealing. That's actually somewhat creepy. So I need to touch on that really quick too. And overall, this is probably one of the best episodes of Ninjago, I'd say. It's definitely within my top 10. I will say that for sure. I actually really enjoyed this episode quite a bit. Everybody has something to do. Everybody does their job really well. Dialogue's great. Action's great. Music is great. The setting is great. The stylization of the episode is great. Pretty much everything in this episode is top tier Ninjago. The general consensus of this episode in the community, from what I've seen, is that this episode is one of Ninjago's best. And I will agree with that. It is certainly one of the best episodes that Ninjago has in its arsenal, with great writing, great tones, and just overall a fantastic it's just great. There's really no other way to describe it. Usually with a lot of other Ninjago episodes I can nitpick something bad that I didn't like about this episode, and for this episode the worst that I can say is that, well, that maybe this episode shouldn't have had a happy ending. But that's not really a criticism, that's just an opinion, so really can't say much about that. Overall, this episode is still very, very good. Obviously, I'm going to give it a score of a 10 out of 10. Interestingly enough, as you can see in my original review from 2018, I also gave it a 10. So sometimes the older scores and the modern scores will overlap, and this is one of the instances where they do indeed overlap. I thought the same about this episode that I felt back in the day. So 10 out of 10 from me. Let's see what you guys got for scores. Some of you guys have already started kicking that off. Thank you very much for starting that. And right away, I see a bunch of 10s, along with a lone 8. Oh, make that two 8s. 2 8s out of 10. We got a Kai's hand out of 10. Feel bad for Kai. You got to feel bad for Kai in this episode. He really didn't deserve that. Hard to argue with perfection. I agree. This episode is borderline perfect. It's like as perfect of a Ninjago episode as you can get, in my opinion, of course. You guys are free to say whatever you want about this episode. We got a bunch of 10s in the chat though, like an overwhelming amount of 10s, along with a couple 8s and a couple 9s. So rest in peace, Kai's hand. I would be genuinely upset at Jay if he stabbed my hand with a fork. Don't stab people with forks, it's not fun. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for my review of Dead Man's Squall. Very good episode in my opinion. A lot of you guys feel the same. Very cool. The next episode that we're going to talk about tomorrow is The Quiet One. That is episode 80 of Ninjago. We will discuss that tomorrow. Yes, there are a few 11s out of 10 in the chat. I feel like this episode, you know what? Yeah, it deserves the extra point. This is the only time I'll allow 11s out of 10s. You guys can do whatever you want. But yeah, tomorrow we're going to talk about The Quiet One as we continue on our Sons of Garmadon reviews, and that'll pretty much wrap it up for this review here. Thanks a lot for checking this one out. Obviously, we have a couple more things to discuss during the stream, so let's get into Q&A stuff. I saw somebody ask for Season 14. Totally. We can start with Season 14 because we just got 2 brand new Season 14 episodes over the weekend in English. And I don't want to discuss a bunch of spoilers here, but I will say I do have reviews up for them on the channel. So if you guys want to check out those reviews, I'd highly recommend it. I reviewed both of the new episodes yesterday, so feel free to check that out. Yes, Ninjago class is over. It's time to put our feet up and relax as we just kind of casually discuss whatever you guys want to talk about. But yeah, like I said, season 14 had a couple of new episodes come out this weekend, and the other 2 episodes will be next weekend. Would I rather have 1 million subs or $1 million? I think right now I could use the money for other stuff, obviously, with like medical stuff and school stuff, and it's a lot of expenses. So I'd say maybe if I had $1 million, I think that could handle a lot of my problems and take off a fair bit of stress off myself. So then again, if I had 1 million subs, I could that would probably boost my channel revenue. So who knows? Maybe they're one and the same. Yeah, if you just wanted to look on YouTube for the season 14 episodes, you could totally find them. A bunch of people have uploaded rips for the season 14 episodes so far, so I'd receive straight A's in Ninjago class. I feel like a lot of us would. I have no doubt that all of you guys would get perfect marks for Ninjago class. In a way, we kind of did that during the 10-hour stream. Best average price set to buy. If you're talking like if you're talking with like season 14 stuff, it also depends on what you mean by like average priced set. Do you mean like a $40 or $50 set? Because if that's the case, I'd recommend the new season 14 Jungle Dragon. Very good set. I've reviewed all the season 14 sets also that I have with me, so I'm not going to get the Catamaran Sea Battle. Again, no interest in that. Um, but yeah, I'd recommend the Jungle Dragon if you guys want like a very solid $40 dragon. Jungle Dragon's the best way to go, I think. You won't be disappointed. Thoughts on the Skull Sorcerer? He's a cool bad guy. I like his design. Yeah, there's been a lot of, I guess, criticism pointed out towards season 14, and I understand where it's coming from as well. I don't know. I personally think that the season's pretty good so far. Like in my reviews, I gave both episodes positive scores. So, you know. I think it's going okay. I do see, I guess, where people are coming from by saying that it's rushed, but I suppose I'll see more of that when the next two episodes come out. If the next two episodes come out and are disappointing, then, I will say, yeah, the season might be a little rushed, but, from what it's going so far, I'd say it's going pretty well. Like, season 14 has had some pretty solid episodes so far. I know I'm kind of in the minority of people who think that, but, wish it was longer. Yeah, I could totally get behind that. It's a shame that it's only going to be 4 episodes. Thoughts on the animation in season 14? Beautiful. It's probably the best that Wildbrain has ever looked animating Ninjago. I'd say season 11 got off to a pretty rocky start, but as the seasons go on, I'd say the animation gets progressively better. And in season 14, as I mentioned in my reviews, it's amazing. Like, I love the animation from season 14, especially with the elemental powers. Got to give big props to Zane and Cole, because I think they were animated the best in those 2 episodes. So Skull Sorcerer has a really creepy design. Oh yeah, it's very creepy. I think that's what makes it cool though. It's creepy and intimidating. It's like, oh, you don't want to mess with this guy. I think it's cool. You might be able to get the City Gardens in June or July. Awesome. Yeah, I'd recommend if you guys have the ability to get it. I'd recommend it. It's a pretty good set. Was I surprised that Agnes was the villain in WandaVision? Not really, not surprised at all. Yeah, we can kind of talk about WandaVision here for a second. I uploaded my full review on YouTube this weekend as well. So if you guys hadn't seen that, recommend it. If you guys hadn't seen that, I recommend you check it out. If you want to hear more of my in-depth thoughts on WandaVision. Also did the video with my roommate, so if you want to see a little bit more of her, feel free to check that out too. And yeah, I don't know. I thought like with WandaVision, Agnes being the villain, not surprised because I feel like a lot of us kind of predicted that right off the bat. I will say a lot of the theories for WandaVision ended up being very wrong. Like a lot of the very popular community theories for WandaVision, they didn't really come out as people expected, and I feel like that's why a lot of people have issues with the finale. I thought the finale was okay. It's not my favorite episode, but there are some genuine good moments. Thoughts on the new intro music for season 14? I like it. I like the intros overall for season 14. I think it's a lot better again than some of the other intros that we've gotten from Wild Brain so far. I think season 14 is probably the best quality Ninjago thing in terms of music and visuals that we've received since Ninjago moved over to Wild Brain Studios, or formerly known as DHX Media, whatever you want to call them. Do I think there should be more episodes of WandaVision? I don't know. I'm kind of happy with the amount of episodes that we have, and I feel like it's going to branch off and, go into other stuff. Like, it's certainly going to be addressed in future movies down the line. So, Yeah, I will say that's kind of annoying as well. Because the first 2 episodes of season 14, like you said, yeah, they're very good. And it sucks that there's only like 2 episodes left. But maybe that quality will also continue into season 15. Who's to say? I think Ninjago should always revert back to like having like the individual character highlights in the intros, because that's just classic, and that's been in Ninjago for a very long time. I kind of want them to bring that back. Do I think the Quicksilver reveal was disappointing? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did not like that at all. I thought it was interesting how they like cast, Evan Peters to be this like Elseworld version of Quicksilver or whatever, and then come to find out he's not Quicksilver and he's just some random dude. You know, it is disappointing to an extent, but I'm not going to write off the entirety of WandaVision just because a fan theory didn't turn out. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can still enjoy it even if it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, I guess. Like I can still find genuine good moments in the last episode, even though a lot of it was honestly disappointing. But hey, that's all right, you know. What Ninjago legacy set do I want? I have all of the legacy sets from 2021. If I were to pick out like a legacy set that I missed, I would say I would like to get Cole's Earth Driller, because I never ended up getting that set, surprisingly, when it was out. So I'd recommend, or I would very much want to go back and pick up that set if I were to try to get an older one that I missed. Does WandaVision happen after Endgame? Yeah, it happens like a few weeks after Endgame, from what we can figure out. Favorite Oni trilogy packs or sets? I'd say some of the best Oni trilogy sets are the Temple of Resurrection from season 8. Season 9, there weren't really a lot of sets that I enjoyed, so Obi-Wan's heading out. Bye, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Thanks for tuning in. Hello there. But no, thanks for being awesome, dude. Have a good day. But yeah, what were we talking about? Oni trilogy sets. In terms of season 8, again, Temple of Resurrection. There's not a lot of season 9 sets that I enjoy, but maybe the Throne Room Showdown set, just because of the figures, and then obviously with season 10, the only set that we technically have is the little Oni 3-pack thing, unless you count some legacy sets, in which case I'd say the Monastery. But I'd say the Temple of Resurrection is probably my favorite Oni trilogy set. Yeah, I kind of missed the 20-minute episodes as well. Like, if season 11 was 4 20-minute long episodes, like March of the Oni, or it's not season 11, season 14, if season 14 was the same length as March of the Oni, I don't think as many people would have been complaining about it. I think it's just because the episodes are short. They're half the length of what we have for like a traditional Ninjago episode, and there's only 4 of them. So you're looking at 4 11-minute long episodes. That is the exact same length as something like Day of the Departed, which a lot of people, including myself, do not like. But overall, I think season 14 is definitely improving on Day of the Departed quite a bit, in terms of writing, animation, dialogue, Favorite WandaVision commercial? Like my favorite commercial within any of the episodes. I think my favorite commercial, if I had to pick one, might have been like the Stark toaster one. I liked that one. I liked the ominous beeping of the toaster. I think that was like the first or second episode we got that commercial, but I really liked that one. I also liked the paper towel commercial, cleaning up spills you didn't mean to make, and it's obviously referencing Wanda's mishap during Civil War. Yeah, season 14 for English is out, but only the first 2 episodes. We're getting the other 2 episodes this weekend. So, favorite Marvel movie? I like the first Iron Man. Either that one or, I'm a big fan of Avengers Endgame. I think it's a lot better than Infinity War. I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion, but I like Endgame a lot more than Infinity War. Yeah, man, talking about yellow plastic ninjas is basically my job at this point, so why not take full advantage of that? What was the score? We gave this episode a 10. Is Quicksilver in witness protection? I don't think so. I think he's just a dude. I think he's just a guy. And the casting being the same as the X-Men Quicksilver is just completely, just not acknowledged at all. I don't even think it matters. Did I watch Spider-Verse? I did. I like Spider-Verse. Yeah, from what I've seen online, like saying that Endgame is better than saying that Endgame is better than Infinity War is kind of like it is very much like an unpopular opinion. From what I've seen in like my community and talking with some of my friends, a lot of us have the consensus that Infinity War is the better of the two films. I think Endgame is a better ending though, and that's something that we usually agree on. I think people talk about Infinity War being better than Endgame because Thanos was better in Infinity War, admittedly, than he was in Endgame. Like Infinity War, Thanos actually had something going on. So why don't we switch up the pictures? We've been stuck on season 14 for a while. Why don't we do Prime Empire, keeping the theme of Wild Brain animated seasons? Uh, yeah, WandaVision is the most recent MCU Disney Plus show. It ties into the Avengers universe and all that kind of stuff, but it's actually a show on Disney Plus. So, thoughts on Klaus? I like Klaus. He's a cool character. I'd like to see him back at some point too. I think the last time we saw him was during what, the Dark Island trilogy, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, I will say, yeah, Thanos in Infinity War was a lot better. Endgame Thanos isn't as cool, and I remember being initially super upset that they went ahead and just, took a Thanos out from the past and brought him to the future to fight the ninja. Or not the ninja, the Avengers. I thought that that decision was kind of weird, but eventually it kind of grew on me. Yeah, it's like during the Endgame final battle, the ninjas start coming out of the portals and fight alongside the Avengers. You know how confused the general audience would have been if that would have happened? It's like, wait, what are all these Lego dudes doing amongst the Avengers? Why are they fighting Thanos? I think that could be funny. Someone should make an edit of that. Um, did I buy any of the Ninjago clothes that just came out? No. No, like my fashion sense is like non-existent. Like usually I just wear a t-shirt and shorts and that's about it. I don't really care for any of the new Ninjago clothes that are out. Because they did a crossover with Hype clothing, and they did another crossover with Adidas, I think, and I don't really plan to buy any of those. So, imagine Falcon being like, Cap on your left, and then the portal opens, and then just like Kai walks through or something. You know how confused literally everybody would be. It'd be funny for like the 1% of the audience that knows what Ninjago is, but everyone else would be like, what, like what is this? Um, Thoughts on Chief Mahmodus? I think he's cool so far. I like his voice. His voice is very deep. Kind of reminds me of, like, if you guys have seen Hero Factory Savage Planet, almost reminds me of Witch Doctor. It's not the same voice actor from what I can figure out, but I think it's a pretty cool voice. Chief Mahmodus voice actor, Paul Dobson, he does a lot of voices for Ninjago already, so it's not surprising that he's voicing a character in the show, but it is surprising that Chief Mahmodus has such like a really deep voice like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, what's Ninjago? If you ask the average person what Ninjago is, they're not gonna know. You ask my grandma what Ninjago is, she's not gonna know what you're talking about. She's probably gonna think it's like a medication or something. It's like, yeah, come take your Ninjago meds. Um, why did I put Fugitive as You're Dead in the tier list? Because Fugitive is just too powerful. I can't remember where I put Fugitive. Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when I heard Chief Mahmodus' voice. I was like, wait, that literally sounds like Witch Doctor from Savage Planet. And I had just watched Savage Planet again, so it's like, well, is that the same voice actor? I don't know. I think that's cool though because they're both kind of big villains in like a jungle setting. I like that stylizing for the voices. So I thought that was cool. Um, what if there was an alternative universe where you hate Ninjago? Well, if there was there's a theory that there's like an alternate universe for literally every decision ever made. So in like an alternate universe, if they exist in a parallel universe, parallel dimension, there is a version of myself that hates Ninjago and constantly makes videos of how much Ninjago sucks. Like this live stream, for example, I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. I would give it a 0 out of 10. And in this section of the live stream, I'd be talking about a parallel universe in which there's a version of me that loves Ninjago and constantly posts about how good it is. So it's very trippy when you think about it. I don't think there's any theories about Garmadon being in season 15. I think Garmadon is pretty much out of the series at this point in time. Yeah, he does voice Master Wu. He voices a lot of really prominent characters. Give it a negative 10 out of 10. Yeah, that's honestly probably right too. Give every episode a negative score. If I were to give an episode a negative score, I don't think that would, you gotta imagine that'd be a pretty bad episode if it gets a negative score. I don't think I've ever given an episode a 0 out of 10. I think I've given episodes like 2s or 3s out of 10s if I'm remembering correctly, but I don't think I've ever given an episode a 0. Do I think Disney will buy Lego? Probably not. I don't think any company is going to be buying Lego. Like Lego themselves branches out for like a lot of other companies. Like they do Disney related stuff, but Disney doesn't own Lego. They just, borrow out the licenses to make these sets and make items or products based on these characters. So yeah, if Dareth had his own episode, it would for sure get a negative score. Thoughts on the Princess Harumi figure? The Princess Harumi, I think that's a good figure. I kind of prefer like Quiet One Harumi though. I like that design a little more. Who do I think is the most powerful Ninjago villain? Probably the Overlord when you break it down. I think he's objectively one of the most powerful beings in the Ninjago universe. He's basically the dark version of the first Spinjitzu Master. So, favorite WandaVision episode? I like the episode where we got to see Wanda's origin. I think that's episode 8, if I'm remembering correctly. Could be wrong about that, but I think it's episode 8. But the finale is pretty good too, to an extent. Like I know a lot of, I can point out a lot of really good scenes in the finale. Like for example, the bit where Wanda and Vision say goodbye. That moment was really sweet and really heartfelt. Yeah, in an alternate universe, I would hate Ninjago, but I would love Dareth and Gultar. I'd be like, this show sucks. All these characters are awful. However, Dareth and Gultar are pretty good. How often do I use Bricklink? Not as often these days because I've completed my Ninjago minifigure collection, or what I was primarily using Bricklink for. But every so often I'll go on there and just look around. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's a pretty solid service. It's just sometimes some of the sellers on there can mix things up. That's pretty much my only big problem with Bricklink. Otherwise, Bricklink is pretty good. I had a comment on a video. I'm not sure if they ever responded to my reply, but there was a comment that asked why I use Bricklink instead of just buying the sets. Well, on Bricklink, there's a lot of cheaper options if you just want to buy figures. For example, if you didn't want to buy the whole X1 charger and you just wanted the set specifically for Golden Coal, you can go on Bricklink and just buy Golden Coal. Granted, the figure itself I think is going for like $23 on Bricklink because it's it's an exclusive limited edition figure. So, but then again, there are several examples of limited edition figures. I just know that the Golden Ninja are very much sought after. So if you guys have any of the Golden Ninja in your collection, you got something pretty rare there, especially if you have Golden Master Wu from the Gardens, because that one goes for a fair bit. I've seen people trying to sell it for like 70, 80 bucks. Which is crazy because that's almost a third of the entire price for the city gardens. What if Ninjago had ended in the final battle? Then I probably would not be doing videos on it. Like Ninjago would just be a childhood memory and nothing more. But I'm glad that it didn't end after the final battle. I will say that the final battle ending was technically a good ending. Like if it ended there, I wouldn't say that anything was kind of like left open. There wasn't like a cliffhanger. That was like a definitive solid ending for the series. But yeah, I'm glad that it continued though, obviously. Favorite thing about the island so far? Probably the animation. I'd say the animation is just gorgeous compared to other Wild Brain seasons. Will I still collect more Funko Pops? Yeah, actually, we're collecting some for WandaVision right now, my roommate and I just looked on my Amazon today. I have a couple of pre-orders for a couple of Funko Pops coming out in the next few weeks, so hopefully those don't get canceled because Amazon's been canceling a lot of my pre-orders as of late for no reason, so. Something just crashed. Something just crashed like big time. Here, hold on 1 second, you guys. I'll be right back. I'm gonna put on the BRB screen. There was like a big crash outside. I'm gonna go see what that was. All right, we're back. I don't see anything outside, so I don't know what that was. Something just like it almost sounded like a car hit another car outside. But from what I can tell, nothing of the sort happened. So I think we're good. Bounty crash outside my house. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, something happened outside my house, and maybe in like 15 minutes when the stream ends, I will go outside and investigate even farther. But yeah, we're back now, and all is good. Everybody's still alive, so we're fine. How are the stray kitties doing? One of the cats actually is like, comfortable enough to come into the apartment and kind of hang out for a little bit. Like last night, she was in here a lot, just kind of hanging out and just bumming around with the other cats. So, and then she will go outside whenever she's done or whatever. The other cat really doesn't come in here all that much. He kind of keeps his distance. So, yeah, I'll update you guys. If there's any like big issues or whatever, I'll let you guys know on like Instagram or Twitter or whatever. If I don't really post anything on the big noise outside, then nothing really happened. But I'll post something if something happened. Um, but yeah, the cats all get along too. Like the three cats that I have, they get along with the little stray kitty. We think that the cat itself, like the stray cat that actually, is friendly, we think that she must have belonged to somebody at some point, man. We're trying to like see if we can take her to some place to like get her checked for like a microchip or whatever. So, can you get Waffle to give me a shout out? Waffle is kind of sitting on a chair right now. I think she's like falling behind the chair actually. So I don't think she's in a position to give a shout out, but we'll find out. Come here. You want to come here? Nope, she's not budging. All right. Sorry, guys. Waffle refuses to enter the stream. But here, I'll show you guys the Waffle image. There you go. There's a picture of Waffle for you to make up for it. Where do I live in the U.S.? I live in the middle of Wisconsin. It's not the best place to live ever, but hey, you know. Do I think the island has better animation than Will Film? I think that it could rival Will Film. Yeah, the cat with no footprints. That's the other cat that kind of lives out behind our house in the woods. So, yeah, that one doesn't leave footprints. It's kind of creepy. We think it's like a ghost cat or whatever. But yeah, Waffle's cool. Thoughts on the upcoming Patrick Star show? I think it's really disrespectful to the creator of SpongeBob. Didn't he say that he didn't want like any spin-offs or anything like that? And then as soon as he dies, Nickelodeon puts out more spin-offs for SpongeBob. I think that's kind of weird. It's not super great. Do I want Ninjago Funko Pops? Absolutely. I think that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not a big Packers fan. My family is though. I was just never big into like football or anything like that. So, but yeah, Ninjago Funko Pops would be cool. I'd buy them. Luckily, right now they're coming out with like some Transformers pops. So, just revealed they're coming out with a 10-inch tall Optimus Prime pop, and it's like, well, there goes more of my money. Yeah, I think it's kind of messed up of Nickelodeon to do that. People are not too thrilled with Nickelodeon because they kind of waited for him to die, and then they were like, you know what? Now let's go ahead and go against his wishes. Um, Had a Ninjago hiatus from 2017 to 2020. Just finished getting back this year. Watched the whole show to catch up. Finished Prime Empire yesterday. It might be one of your favorite seasons. Cool. Yeah, Prime Empire is not a good or not a bad season. You know, it's definitely a good season to call your favorite. And I'm glad that you're getting back into Ninjago. Like I think nowadays, like especially with Prime Empire and season 13, Master of the Mountain, I think it's a lot better than it's ever been. So 2020 is definitely one of Ninjago's best years. Yeah, I'm glad you're getting back into it. It's a fun series to be a part of. Community is pretty cool for the most part. you know. Is Twitchy Tim an elemental master since he can absorb the keeper's lightning? I don't think he's absorbed it as much as he's just kind of been stuck with it. Like it's just kind of a side effect of him being struck by lightning, I guess. I don't think Twitchy Tim is going to be anyone of significance. I think he's just a dude. If he does turn out to be someone important, then fantastic. Otherwise, I think he's just going to be a guy. It's going to be another one of those Ninjago side characters that leaves after the season ends. Yeah, I know Ninjago is streamed on Nickelodeon in some territories. Here it's on Cartoon Network. You know, in Canada it's on Teletoon. I think it's on different stations depending on where you live. Let's see. Yeah, I will say 2020 wasn't really a super good year for anything else. Yeah, but Ninjago was pretty good though. Plot twist: Twitchy Tim is Wahira. I'd be genuinely surprised. No, I don't think anything's going to come from Twitchy Tim. I think he's literally just going to be a guy that stays here and leaves after the season ends. Pretty much like every other side character. And in season 15, we'll get a different side character. What if Ninjago got canceled after season 8? Like if season 8 came out and then Ninjago just ended? Very, very big cliffhanger for starters. And also, I don't think it would have been super great because Ninjago at that point in time was kind of an evergreen theme, like being released every single wave, every single year. So I don't think it would have been good for them to cancel the show, but keep pumping out sets. Twitchy Tim's the Vengestone buyer. Big plot twist. Season 10 images, sure. We can let March of the Oni roll for a little bit. We're kind of going backwards. Like we started from season 14. I think we skipped season 13, but we went to season 12, 11, and now 10. We're kind of going backwards today. What was Scales doing in season 11? Didn't they go talk to Scales to try to get advice on how to defeat Asphira or something like that? It's been a while since I've watched season 11, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But usually that's what they do. They go dig out the Serpentine if they want to, get some advice on defeating another race of Serpentine bad guys. They just go talk to Scales and Scales Jr. and he's like, "Hey, we're here to help." Though I think Scales Jr. is dead, isn't he? I thought he was confirmed to have died at some point. Wu's dog is Garmadon. Wu's dog is the resurrection of Garmadon. Or just Garmadon in disguise. What's my favorite season 14 set? Gotta go with the Jungle Dragon. I think it's the best of the season 14 sets. I have all of them except for the Catamaran sea battle thing. So yeah, I think it was just a joke by the Hegman brothers, but they went on Twitter and said that Scales Jr. had died in a jet skiing accident. So I'm not sure if that's canon to the show or not. But if it is, yeah, rest in peace, Scales Jr. I'm sure that was very hard on Scales' family. Yeah, they mentioned Wahira in this episode. Yeah, we kind of talked about that in the review portion of the stream as well. I think that's really cool. Now it's pretty much unclear whether or not they had this planned way back when, or if it was just something random that they brought up. And now with season 14, they're like, you know what? Let's go back and pretty much adapt some of the storylines we accidentally set up. Scales Jr. getting killed by a jet ski is canon. There you have it, folks. It is canon. I kind of want to check Ninjago Wiki for a second as well. I know Ninjago Wiki isn't like the most accurate thing ever, but I want to look it up and see if they say anything specific about Scales Jr. Dark Matt, though, with a 199 donation. Thank you very much. How do I think season 14 is Lloyd's season? I think that season 14 is going to kind of turn out to be Lloyd's here because at the end of the second English episode that we saw when it premiered this weekend, Lloyd kind of separates from the group and he doesn't end up getting captured by the Keepers. So that'll probably play into more of his own story and it'll center around him. So I guess it's Lloyd's season. It's pretty much how I see like season 11. Like people say that it's, Kai and Zane's season, but in reality it's just a team season and no one really cares about that. Yeah, on the Ninjago wiki, um, it says Scales Jr. The Hegman brothers once jokingly tweeted that Scales Jr. passed away 2 years ago from an unfortunate jet ski accident. So I don't think it's canon, but that is kind of like an update on Scales Jr. Rest in spaghetti. Never forgetty. Did I know that Zane and the Oni both have the power of form? I guess so. I mean, to an extent, yeah. Um, how did Ronan? Oh, I don't want to talk about that. Spoilers. But how did Ronan defeat Fugitive? Who knows? Ronan's just kind of defeating everybody, and Fugitive's not the most formidable foe out there either. So, you know. Yeah, in case you guys haven't seen season 14 yet, the episodes are online in English, at least the first two. So, why did Zippy give the middle finger? Because Zippy is very naughty, very playful, but also very offensive. Zippy's gonna get canceled on Twitter for flipping off the camera. Who would win, the Ninja or Godzilla? That's a good question, man. I can see that going either way, for being honest. We might as well round out the season 8 and 9 pictures. They're part of one particular. They're part of one combination of slideshows. So you're going to see some season 8 pictures in here, some season 9 pictures in here. It's just kind of a mix. I don't have them separated. I agree. Zippy should watch his manners. Mailman's the most dangerous villain. Hey, like I said, I have a theory that the Mailman is secretly Ninjago's greatest villain, and he will be revealed to be the Vengestone buyer. I'm going to gonna stick with that theory until the day I croak. Thoughts on the crab in season 8? He's a big lad, He eventually turns friendly and helps out the ninja. But at the start he's kind of rude, I'd say. Who's Zippy? Zippy is the name of the jungle dragon. Like much like how the other ninja had like names for the dragons like Shard or Flame or Wisp or Rocky, the jungle dragon is called Zippy. which is a good fit. He looks like a Zippy. He acts like a Zippy. He is Zippy. You heard season 15 was coming out March 20th? I don't think so. That's kind of too soon. We know that season 14 is going to be wrapping up the next 2 episodes this weekend. So, but I don't think season 15 is going to be airing that quickly. That seems a little too soon. Yeah, a couple of you guys commented on the exhaust pipe being used on the jungle chopper bike as being used as like a kickstand. My argument with that is, well, it's an exhaust pipe. I'm not sure if it can realistically double as a kickstand. To me, that just kind of seems like a lazy cop-out by Lego to not include like a legitimate kickstand. Though I hadn't noticed that before I had initially filmed my review. So need to comment on that. You can indeed use the exhaust pipes. I have the jungle chopper bike right here. You can indeed use the exhaust pipes as kickstands. However, like I said, to me, they're exhaust pipes, not kickstands. So, like the kickstand modification that I made in the review for the jungle chopper bike, it wouldn't be that hard for Lego to include those 2 extra pieces. So, like that is a legitimate kickstand. So, I guess in a way, the jungle chopper bike does have a kickstand, but I don't know, just kind of seems like a little cop out from Lego. I'm not a fan of that. Why is Island Nia my least favorite suit? I don't know. I think it's just because I like some of the other suits more. I like all of the island suits, but I think Nia's is just my least favorite just by default. With only a couple of minutes left in the stream, why don't we start off, or end off the stream rather, by talking about some rapid fire questions. Anything that I can answer in just a quick sentence or two, that'll be a decent way to end off the stream, and then we can wrap things up for today. Thoughts on Bionicle Gen 2? I think Gen 2 is really good for Bionicle. Like, I really enjoy it, and I had a lot of fun collecting it. So, I know it's kind of an unpopular opinion, but I like it. Ooh, we're getting some new stuffs. Avatar J or Avatar Kai? I'd say Avatar J has the better design, for sure. Why does Nia not have a band on her hair? I think it's just because we're going to be getting that piece later on in the summer, but can't really say a lot about that. Don't know for sure. Cake or pie? Gotta go with cake. I was never a big pie fan. Like, I like some pies, but, you know, not my favorite thing. Have I seen The Last Airbender? I have not. I've seen the first couple of episodes, and that's about it. Rocky Danger Buff or Snake Jaguar? Ooh, they're both really good. You know what? I'm gonna say Rocky Danger Buff, just because I like Cole a little more. But Snake Jaguar is a very close second. What I think of Zippy? Zippy's cool. he's a very fun energy to have in the show. So, thoughts on Harumi just in general? I think it's cool. Like rewatching some of the season 8 episodes, we can see Harumi kind of in the background doing some suspicious stuff, but she's not my favorite villain ever. Like, I don't think she's one of Ninjago's greatest villains or anything like that. I think she's a very good villain, but there are definitely villains that I prefer more than Harumi. Godzilla or Kong? I'm Team Godzilla. I am excited to see the movie. I want to see who wins. Thoughts on Chen? Chen's a very good villain in my opinion, easily in my top 3. Which ninja has the best dating advice besides Nia? um, Ironically enough, probably Cole. Like even though Cole really hasn't had like an actual relationship in the series, if you will, he's certainly come close. You know, like with Vanya and stuff like that. He clearly knows what he's doing, and I feel like he could give some genuine advice to Lloyd in that regard. Otherwise, I feel like Jay and Nia are probably have the most authority to talk about that kind of stuff, or Zane and Pixel as well, and even Kai to an extent. What do I think of Pythor? I think Pythor is a fun character. I think you should definitely return at some point. Stone Golems versus the Oni Titan, who would win? Probably the Oni Titan. I'd say like size, just he can absolutely crush those things if he really wants to. Cole just said flex your muscles and break stuff. His advice wasn't good. I feel like he was kind of being ironic. I feel like he doesn't really care about that kind of stuff, but if he really wanted to, I bet you he could give out some decent advice. I just don't think he really cares. But like as we saw in season 13, like he's definitely capable of romance. So, thoughts on Moro? I like Moro. Not my favorite villain either, but in my opinion, Moro's a lot better than Harumi. Do I think Wildbrain's animation will ever be on the same level as Wilfilm's animation? I think it almost is already, especially with season 14. Like I kind of mentioned this earlier in the stream, but I think Wildbrain's animation, especially with season 14, they could probably rival Wilfilm's animation. Like I think it looks just as good. I think they're pretty much on par with that. Took them a couple of seasons to get it right, but I think right now they're pretty much even with what Wilfilm was. The Oni or Stone Warriors. I like the Stone Warriors a lot more. Chief Mahmodus or Harumi. I'd say right now Harumi because we don't know a whole lot about the Chief, but as we see more and more stuff regarding him and his character, I might change my mind on that. I'm just not sure what the Chief is going to be like when the season's all said and done. You can hear what the Omega is saying when you turn on English captions. Oh, thank God, because the Omega definitely not a good well-spoken chap. Why don't we end off the stream by talking about one more question? Ranking top 5 villains. Why don't we do that? I'll give you guys my top 5 villains off the top of my head right now, and then we can end off the stream. I'd say my top 3. I'd say my favorite is probably my favorite would probably be Garmadon, followed closely by the Overlord, then Master Chen, then I'd say probably Moro being in 4th place, and then in 5th place probably Nauticon. I'd say those are my top 5. Of course, other villains are good too, but I'd say that's a pretty solid top 5 for the most part. And that'll pretty much round it out for the stream today. This is our streaming schedule. We can start off the end of the stream tradition where we spam the word hug in the chat. I will do it. You know what? I'll do it only once because it's the beginning of the week. It's Monday. one hug. But yeah, we stream Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time, with an episode review and a Q&A. We will update this day by day. If there's ever a day where I can't stream, I will let you guys know via my community tab. That'll pretty much wrap it up for today, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As soon as we end off the stream, I'm going to go check and see what that big noise was outside. So hopefully all's well. Hopefully nothing bad happened. But yeah, guys, that'll pretty much do it for me. Thank you so much for checking out the stream. Got a couple more videos coming out on the channel today, so be sure to stick around for those if you want to see what those are all about. And tomorrow we will be back, same time, talking about The Quiet One, the 80th episode of Ninjago. In the meantime, thanks a lot for being cool. Thanks a lot for being a fantastic audience. Thanks for all the hugs in the chat. And you guys are awesome. Stay cool, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic rest of your day.